Hey YouTubers, Tim here with tonight's episode of Star Trek The Next Generation, Season 4, Episode 14, Clues. Not Blue's Clues. So, that was a dumb joke. I'm sorry. I don't know, maybe I'm just not in the right mood for Star Trek tonight. It does happen because I'm watching a lot of Star Trek all at one time. But I don't know, this episode just didn't do it for me. So, basically, this episode boils down to the Enterprise encounters an alien life form they don't want to be known about, so they wipe everybody's memory. Data lies and says that they were wiped out for 30 seconds when it was actually a full day. They realize it. They come back, even though Data's like, we shouldn't do this. And they go through the whole thing over again. Except for now, Picard's like, we learned last time. Here's how to wipe our memory for good. And we go through the whole thing. I don't know. To me, it's an interesting episode. I felt like it was just done the wrong way. There are some tidbits of interesting information. We see Nurse Alyssa again. So we saw her the first time in Future Imperfect, where Riker goes, 16 years or something, into the future. So now we have seen Nurse Alyssa again, but in our timeline, and for real this time. So that's kind of interesting, that this kid who magically predicted the future knew that we were going to get the nurse, or maybe she's always been there and we just haven't seen her. I don't know, however you want to consider it. But now we've seen her and now she is named. We know who Nurse Alyssa is. So that's great. We see the return of Dixon Hill, Picard's alter ego in the holodeck. I lost track. I should have written it down. I think this is the third or fourth time we've seen him now. So that's kind of interesting. And now we have seen Guinan in the holodeck, where she's Gloria. So that's kind of a fun scene where she comes in there and she keeps trying to reestablish, no, I'm Gloria. I think this is the first time we've seen Guinan outside of 10 Forward. I've said it once. I'll say it again. I'll say it in every video. I love Whoopi Goldberg. She's amazing. Guinan's my favorite character. So I'm happy to see her. Any episode. So at this point, Data has now lied that the crew was asleep for a full day instead of 30 seconds. Granted, Picard told him to lie, or we find out later, Picard ordered him to lie about it, but he still lied. It wasn't an exaggeration, it was a lie. So now, if you go back to the other episode where, I should have written that down too, where Data is in the antique owner owns Data, and then Data tries to fire the phaser, and then he lies about it. He's like, well, I don't know, maybe the transporter did it, and he kind of exaggerates. We're slowly seeing different sides of Data. We're seeing Data evolve, and it's really interesting that not only is he evolving, but to me, he's not evolving into a nice person. He's evolving kind of scary. So that's kind of something interesting to kind of keep in the back of your minds. We see after Deanna kind of gets a headache, Worf walks her back to her cabin. We've kind of seen different scenes of Worf and Deanna. There was one episode, I didn't mention it, but there's one episode where they're in their poker game, and Deanna's actually sat in between Worf and Riker. And in this scene, Worf walks Deanna back. We're only on season 4. When we get to season 7, spoiler alert, Deanna and Worf actually have a relationship where they're seeing each other. I feel like this is kind of planting those early seeds. I don't know. It could be me reading too much into it in hindsight because I know where they're going to go, but who knows? If you guys have seen this one, like I said, I didn't get that into it. Maybe I'm just not in the right mood. But them being just like, oh, you tried to wipe our memory and you failed. Here's how you do it correctly. It just didn't do it for me. If you guys have seen this one, what did you guys think? Did you guys get more into this episode than I did? Otherwise, I will see you guys next time for First Contact. Not the movie, but the episode, First Contact.